Welcome to the Spinfoil Theory Podcast. Each week we sit down and discuss our favorite lore topics from within the Destiny universe. Specifically, we intend to take a close look at a specific question that has been nagging us and potentially the Destiny community as a whole. To fulfill that, our discussions tend to assume that you already have some background in the Destiny lore. Despite that, our goal is to be as lighthearted and welcoming to everyone as possible. With that out of the way, let's dive into this week's topic.
Alright. Welcome to the Spinfoil Theory Podcast. This is Taylor-B and the Bagelz.
Howdy.
How do? And we have a very special guest this week. We have the Dregen Mercy. Did we lose you?
Hello?
Hello! Yay!
Hello.
Hello.
I don't know what happened then.
No worries. Welcome to the show, Dregen Mercy. Thank you so much for being with us. Love to have you here, and it's always good to have. I think for me and Bags to have like a third perspective every now and again, because otherwise I think we just get really like smelling your own farts and feeling really like smart about it. And it's just good to you're gonna help keep us in check and regulate here. So that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun. This week we have a very fun topic. And it's a theory that we kind of came up with at the end of last season, and you might kind of remember a lot of talk. It wasn't just us, but this week's topic is: what if the Doritos, the big darkness ships that are coming to the city, are actually under the influence of Savathun, as opposed to maybe some third party, like air quotes, the Veil. Like, sorry guys, I'm not going to call them that until they're called that. Like, I'm not. That's a fan name. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad name. I'm just saying it's not their name yet. That's all I'm saying. It's all, yeah, like I need that out there. But it's the idea that these Doritos are really under Savathun's command and are actually part of her machinations to maybe confuse or set us up for failure or for her own success. It's kind of rooted in the fact that you can't trust anything she says, and you can't trust anything that she's potentially involved in as it's presented. And I think that's a fair statement that like most fans of this part of the lore would agree with. And it's sort of just rooted in, all things being equal, if there's a strong chance that she will betray you or that she will trick you in some way, that like this has to be on the table too. So I think with sort of putting like that down, like Bags, what do you think about it, man?
It's interesting. Just on the basis of how did this occur? Is my initial thought process. So, did Savathun gain control of these ships a long time ago? Did she gain control of them recently? Now, part of this theory is that she's using the Dorito ships as a means to essentially find a way to get out of her worm contract. So what we're spinning here is that she's using the ships as a means to do so. So that would imply that it would probably be fairly recent that she would have been attempting to gain control of the pyramid ships, and as she has only been trying to get out of the worm contract, as we're aware, post-Oryx. Now, it's entirely possible that she's been trying to get out of a worm contract since before that, but it's not clearly established that that's the case. So it brings some questions to my mind of how she would have garnered control of the pyramid ships. I'm pretty firmly in the camp that the pyramid ships are pretty ancient. Now, we don't know a whole lot about their origin yet, but we do know that the one on the moon has been there for quite a while, and clearly there's been some interactions between the pyramid ships and the Traveler in the past. So, they're not a new concept, I would argue. Therefore, Savathun didn't have them created for herself. So, it brings up a few questions in my mind as to the originations of the pyramid ship, and how Savathun would have exactly gained control of them.
I kind of hear that. I always wonder if part of this is maybe a little bit more that, because I think to a point we kind of touched on before the show, that would, if she is doing it expressly to get out of her worm contract, one, it's very interesting. Like maybe the catalyst, if it is a more recent decision that she's gotten into, since we don't really see it like previously in the lore, like pre Oryx's death. Maybe it was the fact that like as Oryx dies, it seems that his worm like crystallizes his body and kind of like finishes it off, consumes it. I would always think like that would make me pretty scared if I thought I made a deal for immortality with someone that they could just eat me.
Sure.
Realize that was his worm.
That's been a popular theory. I don't think that's ever been confirmed. At least not very blatantly in anything that I've read. But the idea was for a long time, a theory of how we might see Oryx again, or something that looks like Oryx, was that the worm had crystallized, like made like a chrysalis around his body. And so, like, maybe, like, that was how the worm was finally going to, like, turn into whatever the worms turn into.
See, I always thought his worm was quite possibly the Leviathan-looking thing on Titan.
Okay.
I always thought that was Oryx's worm.
That's a really cool theory, too. Because if it would be... I mean, and what I love about that is that was something that they put in the game purposefully that they didn't quite have direction for, at least like official direction for, that they told us about. And so something kick-ass like Oryx, the Navigator, the Wanderer, found a way to hide his worm somewhere. That's like the ultimate get-out-of-death-free card. Like, I mean, yeah, I am jazzed for that. Although then I'm even more scared because it can eat you remotely. It's just like it doesn't even need to be there. It's eating the microwaves transmitted from whatever it did to you. Mercy, what are some of your thoughts? How do you feel about the Doritos really being under Savathun's command?
Oh, it's a tough one. She's manipulative. She's very, very manipulative. So I think she's somehow managed to manipulate the darkness into bending to her will and command somehow. So
I like this.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I actually really like that.
Yeah, she's known as the trickster, isn't she? So she's manipulated us. She's manipulated the Vanguard in her own ways. What's to say she can't manipulate the darkness?
Very true. And to add to that, like, we don't really know. Like, is the darkness? You guys can't see it, but I'm doing very cute air quotes with my fingers. But is like the darkness? Is that even like an organized thing? Like, outside of the Traveler, I don't think we would ever consider light to be an organized body, right? We would never say that, like, everything has light, but we would never say those things are all working together in under some command. Like, there's, like, this singular sort of, not to use corporate speak, but there's this, like, singular, like, structural tower under the Traveler, and that's it. There's no other tower, but that tower doesn't control everything. It's just like it's there, and then everything else is sort of doing what it wants. So, like, if I take that same idea and I apply it to the darkness, well, like, is the darkness like an organized body? Because if it's not, then it's a lot more reasonable that it can be manipulated, that it can be tricked, and so I am a lot more on the side of there's a duality there, and that makes both players fallible, but also not in total control.
That's entirely fair, there. I tend to agree as well that the darkness as a concept in the game universe of the Destiny Destiny.
That's the official name of the game now.
The Destiny.
The Destiny
is definitely it's a very disorganized is one way to put it. I think I feel like it's more of a decentralized is probably the best term to use for it, on the basis that we know that the darkness is in all of us in game. That's something that's, I think, pretty well been established at this point. I believe even there's been popular theories about the Traveler choosing us on the basis that we have an amount of darkness within us already, and we can use that darkness in order to defend ourselves and fight for the Traveler. And that's exactly, and the theory states that the Traveler chose us on that basis. And so, in that sense, the darkness is in all things, as is the light. It's kind of a Star Wars type concept.
I was just going to say that because I actually was watching Star Wars last night.
This is why you are so perfect for this show, Mercy.
But that kind of speaks to the point a little bit, that basically it's less a force with consciousness and more so a force that can be used or changed to the will of the people that can.
Well, it's kind of like,
they're strong enough to use it.
It's kind of like and you know, for lack of a better word, like Bags, you and I play in D&D. Mercy, I know you at least know what D&D is, and it's like magic, right? It's like magic. Like, anyone can use the magic. The magic is supernatural, but like the magic is just that. It's the magic. So you have the light magic, you have the dark magic, but like it's the person who chooses how to use it, whether is what makes it like good or evil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all right. Awesome. Because that's how you have like warlords. Like, no one ever, like, I don't see why the tower is so opposed to there being good darkness wielding guardians when there were clearly bad light wielding ones.
I think it's more so just looking at the track record of people that have been manipulated by the power of the darkness in the past.
I mean, if we're going to use numbers, though, like, that is not exactly a sample size. The one guy.
Sure. I understand where you're coming from. It's just a concern about how that power can actually twist somebody into something that obviously would work against humanity, work against the Guardians as they currently stand. It's less about sample size and more so just about a fear of what somebody twisted and betraying their ranks could do. That's the bigger concern, because it has been seen, and justifiably it raises some concerns.
Hey Mercy, I'm gonna sidetrack us a little bit. Which Star Wars were you watching?
I watched the newer ones, the first three before the older three.
Nice. So the prequels?
So I was actually watching them kind of like in order,
nice.
Like with Anakin Skywalker.
Yes.
Up to when he became Darth Vader.
Yes.
Do it.
Earlier last year, I did an all like chronological order Star Wars thing. So like I watched the prequels, then I watched like Clone Wars, where you're supposed to watch that, and then I watched like this show, and like I spent way more time than a grown man should have, but it was worth it. It was a lot of fun. Definitely feeling those vibes right now. Then, especially since you watched that trilogy, it's kind of fun to like to use that as what we're talking about now, because like there's so many in those sagas. There's so many times where like good people are doing like weirdly evil stuff, and the characters get conflicted, like majorly themes. I'm not going to try and break down Star Wars as like a philosophical drama, but like, major themes of people like being considered like, oh, well, like, is this like X like actually good, or is X actually evil, when you can use it to do like this thing, which I view as objectively good, and you see like inner character conflict there. But it's really interesting you bring that up, because like, to what we were just talking about, I think that actually fits a little perfectly. You have we're kind of reaching this point as characters. I think a lot of people are calling how we're going to have to pick a side. Light or dark.
Much like Anakin did.
Yeah. Exactly. And we're sort of in that area right now where we're seeing the benefits of the dark side and what it can do for you, and we're tasting it, we're dipping in the pool, and we're just like, but just a dip. It's okay.
But the question is, are we going to want more?
To further this analogy a little bit, I'm kind of curious. I don't know a whole lot about the expanded lore of Star Wars. It's not been, I've not read any of the books or anything like that, but I do know of the existence of so-called Grey Jedi, which use both the light and the dark in that universe. I'm curious if Destiny goes down a path where certain members of our Destiny universe can find a similar path where they can successfully use both the light and the dark in Destiny.
I think Eris is already there.
Okay.
Mm.
I think she can wield both dark and light.
Okay.
I'm here for that. I want to learn if like she can teach us how to do the dark stuff. I want to learn that darkness fushigi, like the ball like tricks she was doing, like almost gymnastics fighting in the cutscene. Like I want to learn that.
That was awesome.
I want to learn that style. I don't know. Like, are you dancing or are you fighting me? And then it's just like your head's taken off. I really want that. That's an interesting thing. So I actually kind of agree, because we have no reason to think she can't still do her Guardian base powers in conjunction, especially like some of the ways she was like moving. It definitely seemed like that was a double jump. Like here and there. Going back to her stuff. What really scares me about her is like the sort of what I imagine to be her subclass of darkness, which is like Hive Witch. Like that's where, because in the in a couple places it's been shown how she can go off the deep end with that, like in the Dark Future. And it's only been potential futures so far. She said some stuff that seems like a little worrying, like in her stuff where she's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm totally going to use this darkness so hard. I've got it now, and you guys are effed." Like it's kind of the I can't remember the lore entry. I'm so sorry, I did it just such a disservice right now. But there's a point in this season's general stuff where she notes that like she can do it now. Like a lot more, with a lot more control than she could before, and that's where I'm just kind of like, all right, that's gonna be really cool until it's not. It's gonna be.
I have to admit, I'm pretty concerned about Eris. The fact that she hasn't been a major plot point in this season, and we get a lore entry or a lore series like the Dark Future. It really concerns me that we're not in active communication with her, because it seems like our Guardian is one of the few people that gets through to her. We should, like, we're borderline a therapist for her in Season of Arrivals, and Shadowkeep especially, where basically we separate her from her nightmares throughout that year. And now she's just off on her own, learning to use darkness powers, and we get a lore drop in the form of the Dark Future, where she is essentially the controlling factor of the darkness in our system. So yeah, it's a little disconcerting for me at this point what Eris is up to.
Why you
The fact that she knows so much about Savathun, the way Savathun works. That's kind of concerning too.
Absolutely, I completely agree. It's hard to know exactly what's going on in the background there, but certainly we should be talking to Eris at this point to figure out Savathun's machinations, because she was heavily involved in the past 3 months, that being Savathun. So we should be keeping tabs on her at this point. We really don't have anything from this season, and that could just be Savathun basically writing off her season of Arrival's motives. That now we basically from what I'm aware of, she was attempting to prevent us from interact with the pyramid ships in Season of Rivals via her interference, as the game states, and basically she brings in Taken to prevent us from making direct contact and that sort of stuff. So, what exactly if she gave up on that motive because she saw that we were going to make contact with the pyramid ships anyway? Then what is she up to in the background? And yeah.
So I again, like I just find it so interesting, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but like that would be the first piece of lore that involves Savathun that we would be saying, no, that's just true on its face.
Then that's entirely fair. Savathun has been a master of hiding her motives and hiding her machinations for a very long time. And to just assume that we can understand what she's up to based on a set of 3 months of interactions, that is a big assumption. I will completely grant you that.
Oh, thank you. No one expects the polite acceptance. But yeah, and I mean, especially when you go through some of the lore, I think Mercy, you had mentioned Insurrection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to take your thunder with that, but like that also struck me too. Like, what about it to you? Like, sort of gave you pause and got you thinking about the theory here.
Yeah, it's the whole start of the entry, where it's on about Eris Morn's body. Like, is she dead? Is she injured? What's going on with that? And then it goes on to say, out of that needle, as if dispatched into the world, through fatal injection, comes the emaciated magnificence of Dulin Karu. That's the bit that struck me.
Okay. So, if your brain's working like mine, like that says to me, I mean, just back to the base theory that brought us together today, like that could be, like all this could be just to wake up Eris.
Because it says that
Yeah.
as it says, through that pain comes a long black needle, and the skin around it dimples into the erratic spun cancer topology of some gruesome four-dimensional waveform which no monist process could ever produce. And then it goes on to say about Dulin Karu. So
no, please.
Is something, has Dulin Karu come out of Eris, or
remember
what?
So bear with me. I'm gonna be like a child right now, but you know, in Ghostbusters, like there is no Kara, only Zoo. Like I'm thinking it's maybe like that type of thing, that like no matter what happens, I mean, I would imagine, because it sounds like she's getting corrupted herself, and maybe that name, yeah, maybe that name is like what she's like prophesied to become, or what she's meant to become. Like maybe that means something in the Hive language that we don't know what it is. Yeah. Oh man, that's okay. Okay, I'm here for this, because if we use the dark future as sort of a basis of what could happen, if all of this is to push Eris over the edge and into that role, I mean, that's fucking genius. Because all she's doing, I mean, like, if you think about it, she hasn't even fought anything with the darkness ships. Like, I don't think she's lost a ship. All she's done is make us go cray.
Yeah.
Like, every time anyone gets near one, they go, like, their mind starts to mess up. I'm sorry? Yeah.
No, it's alright. I was looking at the wrong thing, don't worry about that.
But yeah, that is scary. Because if you think about it, all she's made us do is fight a bunch of Fallen.
Yeah. So, and then from that, Dolinkaru starts to speak then. She starts talking about Savathun, actually. Right, she says here, would you ask to know about my mother? The crested head twitches with alien motion. The fungal shoulders roll beneath her armoured plate. Is she the one you seek, Witch Queen Savathun? Arcantrope, Queen of Encrypts, the Black Needle. Deepest in the High Coven, Emancipator of Worms, the missing piece of all puzzles, who shall see the cosmos unborn into an infinitely dwindled egg. So, I don't know. This is why I'm thinking, about Savathun manipulated as she manipulated Eris, or through the way she's the way what I think is manipulating the darkness somehow. If that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of scary sense. That makes, yeah. Ooh, man. Bagels, do you ever have that moment where, like, you're Cartman all of a sudden and you can't believe we didn't see it before? Because that's me right now. I really like this because and I mean, she kind of talks about this in her entry where she's teasing us.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, like, she could do nothing and we'd still give her credit for it, and it works in her favor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's just, yeah, like, once you know who she is, you're kind of SOL. Like, she's made you paranoid. She wins.
Yeah. But then she goes on, then Dolinkaru starts again talking about her mum again, Savathun, about her plans, Savathun's plans. Here it says, see, this is why I can't make up whether she's trying to get out of a worm contract or not at this part, or whether she's trying to just basically feed her worm, because she says, in her modest cunning, which she prefers not to be overstated, so as to persevere her from the scorn of gossips, she gathered several of her ascendants who were in danger of being consumed by their worms. Then she pushed them through a rupture into close orbit of a black hole. Deep in gravity's embrace, time passed slowly for them. See how their worms are satisfied, Savathun said, for their hunger grows sluggishly, but their servants continue to dispatch tribute at the ordinary rate. But the worms sensed the deception and increased their demands. Thus the orbiting sacrifices were consumed, and their remnants fell into the event horizon from which not even the hive might return. So what is she up to there? Is she trying to get out of a worm contract, or is she just feeding it?
The way I've always interpreted that statement there is that Savathun, being clever, as we know her, has tried to come up with a variety of ways in order to satisfy her worm. She's always thinking long term. She wants to make sure she can establish a plan that will essentially eternally feed her worm, and therefore prevent the worm from consuming her. So initially she attempts this, where she basically puts her lieutenants into stasis via a black hole. and that slows the worm's demands relative to real time. Is basically how to look at it. And so that attempt obviously failed here, and so she looked to alternative methods again and created the murder battery that is the Dreaming City now and the curse cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just continuously creating plans in order to attempt to find ways to appease her worm at this point. And eventually she seemingly comes to the realization that she's never going to be able to satisfy her worm forever. She's going to have to do something in order to get out of her worm contract. Otherwise, she's going to succumb to the worm consuming her as well.
The way it did with Oryx.
Yep. So that's kind of how I interpret all of this in at least in terms of Savathun's motives. Again, as wily as she is, we can't trust a lot of what's put down to paper in regards to her. But that seems to be at least what we can guess at for now.
Cool.
I am. I don't know which way to feel anymore, Biggs. All I know is, like, no matter what I think, I'm probably wrong, because she'll just be like, nuh-uh.
See, that's Savathun's trickery right there.
I know. It's what I really hate about it. It's what I really hate about it, because, like, she keeps being in the edges of stuff, and now that Ziva Wrath has shown up, what I really just love about this is, I mean, part of me hopes we never actually meet Savathun. Like, maybe we read about her, maybe even interact, like, in-game with her, but, like, I don't ever want to actually fight her. I think it'd be kind of cool if you never actually saw what she looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Just to, like, keep the mystique.
I want to meet her. I actually want to fight her. I reckon she'll be a harder, better fight than Oryx.
For sure.
I feel like she would never...
I feel like she... Sorry. Go on.
Sorry, you're fine. Go on.
I just feel like Savathun is stronger than what Oryx was. Somehow.
And that's entirely possible. From what I'm aware of, Oryx was probably in a weakened state when we encountered him in The Taken King. He probably didn't have a lot of the tribute that he was accustomed to after losing both Crota and the majority of his lieutenants in our war against his brood. He basically lost a lot of tribute in that fashion.
Oh yeah, we took the legs out from under him.
Exactly. And so we basically could have been fighting him in a weakened state at that point. Now, one would argue that that's how you have to approach a hive god. You can't just take them head on at full strength, otherwise you will be obliterated. But still, to that point, I do believe that Oryx was probably in a weakened state when we fought him. If we were to fight Savathun, I don't think it would be head on. I don't think that Savathun would want to fight us head on. To be frank, she is the queen of deception. She would find other people to fight in her stead, and she would find a champion, or she would find some grand puzzle that would serve in her place.
Guys, can I ask a stupid question?
There are no stupid questions.
I'm gonna surprise you, but my thought here is, what if it's like in Bill and Ted when they have to fight death, but it's really like she'll keep picking like a game like Chutes and Ladders, or like Battleship. She's like keep kicking our ass and be like, "Why don't you let us shoot you?" Like, "Nah, man, I'm trying to play magnetic football. That's how I choose to defend myself." See me on this foosball table. She's like wholly unprepared to fight her in this way, and she knows it. She's just back there like slapping the pinball machine, becoming a real wizard. Just getting ready for us with the most perfect high score, and we've been fighting things like dorks this whole time.
Oh, God.
So now I really hope they do something like that. At least like in a stupid dream sequence. It doesn't have to be real. But I think
I want another Chronicon just on the basis of us fighting Savathun and just board games.
I would also accept Go Fish. Perhaps Uno.
Scrabble.
Yes. She knows all the words.
Little did we know we'd be playing in the Hive language.
I was gonna say maybe she's one of those that like she's like, no, we have to use the house dictionary. You can't use the Scrabble dictionary. There's people like that. I've played with people like that. Like, no, dude, I'm sorry. Do re mi is not a word. They get mad. Okay.
Oh dear.
I know. I don't mean to be, but that's just when I get all spinfoily. That's where my mind will eventually go to something dumb. It's just who I am. Okay, so all right then. How about this, Bags? If you were to turn it up to 11, which I know might be a difficult concept, just because she kind of does that to herself. But if you were to turn this up to 11, like, what would you need? What sort of connective tissue would you need? And, like, we've prepared multiple paths, so, like, feel free to take a shotgun approach and just kind of go through how, like, different ones might work, or whatever you feel, or whichever your favorite is. And yeah, how would you make this happen, sir?
So, I would need some sort of establishment on how the pyramid ships work, or how they could be controlled. We don't know. I can see absolutely that Savathun gains control of some sort of element of the darkness. That makes sense. She's a champion of the Hive, and they already seem to have control of an element of the darkness in kind of their Soulfire type attack. That seems to be at least based in the darkness. We don't know a whole lot about it at this point in time, as to whether or not that's directly based on an artifact of the darkness or anything like that. That's entirely unknown. But
it's a known unknown.
Yeah, exactly. It's still something that seems to be tied to the darkness and originating from that power. But what the pyramid ships are is, at this point, they seem to be a opposite of the Traveler. Now they're more numerous and that sort of thing, but they seem to be that opposite effect to it. So how does one control a truly paracausal being is the question that I have to raise in order to turn this up to 11. And I could see it if something happens where maybe something happens like in the Dark Future where Savathun kind of falls in line with Eris, and Eris is the one gaining control of the pyramid ships. Based on the basis that in that Dark Future, we basically see that Eris is the one controlling everything. it's kind of the feeling that I get out of that. And so why wouldn't it be possible that if her and Savathun aligned, like in that feature, that the pyramid ships would also align with the apparent strongest power in the system? So that seems to be what the darkness wants from us. They're looking to find the strongest champion, corrupt them, and bring them to their side.
Okay.
So if that were the case, then if either Savathun or Eris, and they aligned themselves with the darkness, and clearly established themselves as the quote-unquote strongest challenger to the final shape, I could see them all aligning and the pyramid ships falling under the control of Savathun and or Eris. That's my thought process anyway.
That's a really interesting one. just sort of going down that thought process that like one thing to note, like aside from aligning, like what if it's sort of a juxtaposition where, you know, to everything you said, Savathun sort of becomes the worm. That's how she gets out of the contract, and then the secret is that in the dark future, that's actually Savathun. And it's more of like a vessel thing. Going forward, it would be very interesting to me. But there's so much going on in the dark future that's one of many possibilities. But I think that's a super cool way to look at it. Mercy, following Bagel's example, is there, if you had to make this idea work in any of the ways that we've talked about, like how would you like what would you need to like see or read to be like, oh yeah, okay, this is fact now? How would you turn it up to 11?
Ooh. Honestly, I really don't know. I couldn't say, to be honest. There's, like you said, there's so much going on in the dark future. I really wouldn't know which approach to take, if I'm truly honest with you.
No worries. I think that's totally fair. And in a way that's sort of saying that so many are valid that it's hard to like turn one up, right? Yeah, that makes total sense. And
there are a lot of paths in order for somehow the pyramid ships to fall in line with Savathun. Absolutely.
If I could help out a little bit, because I think you actually just did it, I feel like they would just have to narrow it down, right? Is that if they kind of like narrowed down what could possibly be there? Do you think that would be like a little easier to to come at it? Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. I think for me, they just it just has to be revealed. I think like once Eris starts to turn, maybe, or you know, and a couple things like because a lot of times you know, there's still some people out there who think when she looked into her little darkness orb and said "my queen" before, that she was talking to Savathun, and that these letters that she's putting on have been an act, because those letters are for us to read.
Yeah. Like,
it's not like we found something that was meant for her eyes only. It's stuff that like she knew we could put, like, that's public record stuff. Like, that's there's no secrets about those writings and letters and stuff like that. She used like public nets and all that. So
I was one of those people that thought that she might have been talking to Savathun. And it's like, because it's simply the way that she said it.
Right?
It's the way that she said it. I don't know. There was just something there that made me think.
I think that speaks to Morla's voice acting more than anything. That she's great at just throwing. It's almost like throwing her voice in a direction where Eris's motives can be questioned in that fashion. But to your point a little bit, I think that. I think that if that were to be the case, that Eris was actually speaking to Savathun in that moment, that would be the greatest long con of all time, where Eris was actually dragging us along, teaching us how to be, if not corrupted by the darkness, at least how to use it so we could eventually be corrupted by the darkness itself. That would be the greatest long con of all time by Savathun, corrupting greatest champions in that fashion, essentially.
And the fact that Eris has spent so much time with the Hive as well when she was trapped on the moon as well. Who's to say what happened while she was down there? We don't know if Savathun spoke to her down there and plotted something with her.
Maybe Savathun's the whispers that let her out.
Possibly.
Yeah. And honestly, her wish could have tied her to Savathun. Certainly the Kara as we suspect, have their ways of monkey pawing you into situations that you never envisioned. So certainly it could have been that Eris's wish directly tied her to Savathun in that moment, and Savathun eventually found her a way out so that she could corrupt Guardians or something to that effect. Some sort of infiltrating force within the Guardian ranks.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe if it's for nothing else than to plant a seed to have a whole new faction of people who are whispering about you, and wondering about your secrets and maybe keeping secrets about you from other people, because especially like the Vanguard would be playing right into that. They don't tell us the general city about Savathun and the impending doom. They just kind of sound the alarm. People need to hide. And so that's another guys. I'm here for it. That's another mind blowy take at it. I think for me it's really just a matter of like Mercy said, just narrowing it down, or like Bagelz here said, just just actually like starting one like just knocking that domino that actually starts to make some of these things come true. I think would actually really do it for me. So I don't know if that's cranking it all the way up to 11. Crank it all the way to 11. I don't know. She like storms in like Shao Kahn at the end of Mortal Kombat, and he's like, "You fools! I've come for your souls."
I'm going to say I'm all here for this cutscene now.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I want to see.
Yeah, she's gigantic, and our solution is to take a karate stance to fight an amorphous head. Like, I don't know.
Even if this cutscene has to occur in a dream of ours, I'm absolutely here for Bungie fully animated.
That's my turning it up to 11. She literally just storms in a way that you would not expect, and comes for your souls.
Excuse me.
Oh yeah, no worries. Well, guys, I think I'm ready to move into to shout outs. I think I'll kick us off. I'm gonna give a shout out to our guest, Mercy. Thank you so much for joining. I want to ask everyone who is here in Washington D.C. with me. I hope you stayed safe this past week. That's if there's so much to say and so much that I'm feeling right now as a resident, but the one thing I want to actually shout out is I hope that if you had to, people might not know that like a lot of the people came in the city, but like the lockdown and stuff is the stuff people who actually like that live here like had to go through. So like I just hope everyone, my fellow DC residents, I just hope you were able to stay safe. That's all I want to say. So I didn't mean to make it too heavy, guys.
No, you're
No,
good, man.
it's fine.
Yeah, Mercy, you got a shout out?
Yeah, I want to have a shout out to the guys from my clan that I roll with. Chaos, Luke, Cox, Martin, Shade Crimson. I know there's somebody. Oh, Reese as well. Yeah, just a shout out to all them who I roll with every week playing Destiny.
Love
Never
it.
fail to make me smile and laugh. And all of them are my best friends.
Oh,
I love it.
That's so great. Yeah, that's awesome. And I hope that all of them listen to hear your shout out. Shameless plug on my own show for myself. Thanks. Who you got, buddy?
I just want to give a shout out to everybody to stay safe. We're almost hopefully at the end of the COVID tunnel that's seemingly been going on forever, and the vaccines are being deployed slowly and steadily.
Yep.
So don't blow it all before before you get the vaccine. Try to stay safe, keep your family safe. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel personally. I try to be an optimist on this sort of stuff, and I hope that it gets deployed quickly and effectively, so that we all get our doses in a timely fashion. So, yeah, I'm just hoping that everybody can, until then, get maintain their safety. So
yeah, mirror that 100%. Actually, still speaking to check your local government listings. Here in DC, we have a registry. I've registered, and so when the appropriate wave for like my risk level comes up, they'll actually alert me and let me know where I can go, and I can go get my vaccination. So your local city might have something like that, and I'll say, like, even though I'm not one of the first to get it, I'm very happy to know that I will. So that's just to add to that, maybe some peace of mind out there that you didn't know about, because I didn't know about it till I saw DCist tweet it. Didn't even like get an email from the city. But yeah, so it's help is out there. All right, Mercy, thank you so much for being our guest. Again, we really appreciate to have you on, and I hope you had a good time, because we're probably going to invite you back.
Thank you. I had an awesome time.
Awesome. Well, with that, everyone, like we say, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. That's the end of this week's topic, but be sure to check out our past and future episodes on Spotify, iTunes, and Podbean. If you have any questions about this week's topic, want to discuss Destiny lore with us, or if you just feel like reaching out to us, you can find us on Twitter at Spinfoil Theory, or you can email us via spinfoiltheory@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
The Lore Network.